This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. See, it's Friday, July 19th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
An emotional acceptance speech.
We will make America great again.
By Donald Trump as the GOP convention comes to an end. I'm Steve Futterman in Milwaukee.
A growing number of reports suggest President Biden could be reconsidering his bid for re-election.
The president is in this race.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Bob Newhart has died at age 94.
You won't believe the dream I just had.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
Student loan forgiveness, a win and a loss for President Biden.
Stocks are coming off a profit-taking tech sell-off again. The Dow plunged 500 points. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Hunter Biden's legal troubles could end thanks to Donald Trump's classified documents case.
Federal health officials have authorized sales of the best-selling e-cigarette in the country. I'm Shelley Adler.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Former President Donald Trump received a hero's welcome as he recounted the assassination attempt and accepted the GOP nomination during his keynote speech at the Republican National Convention. Steve Futterman reports from Milwaukee.
My fellow Americans!
The final night at times sounded a bit like a wrestling show, and with good reason.
47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Donald Trump was introduced by Ultimate Fighting Championship head Dana White. And one of the other speakers last night,
America is going to get back on track,
was Hulk Hogan.
America is going to be great again.
But this night was for Donald Trump. Early on, his tone was softer than usual as he talked about the assassination attempt last weekend.
And you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell.
Trump recounted the events, including the actual shooting.
I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that?
And several times he invoked the name of God.
In a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that.
He called for the nation to come together and used that call to call on Democrats to drop the remaining criminal charges against him.
If Democrats want to unify our country, they should drop these partisan witch hunts, which I have been going through for approximately 8 years. And they should do that without delay.
Trump had promised not to use Joe Biden's name during the speech, and he nearly kept it.
I'm not going to use the name anymore, just one time. The damage that he's done to this country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable.
As the more than 90-minute speech went on, the tone did pick up. Trump promised lower taxes, lower inflation, and of course he talked about illegal immigration.
The greatest invasion in history is taking place right here in our country.
He said he will stop illegal crossings at the southern border.
They are coming in from every corner of the earth, not just from South America, but from Africa, Asia, the Middle East. They're coming from everywhere. They're coming at levels that we've never seen before. It is an invasion indeed, and this administration does absolutely nothing to stop them. They're coming from prisons. They're coming from jails. They're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums.
At the very end, Trump used the line he has been using since he announced his candidacy in 2015.
And quite simply put, we will very quickly make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Wisconsin. God bless you.
The evening ended with the classic pose, Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance on stage with balloons coming down. The end of what many consider one of the most unified GOP conventions ever. I'm Steve Futterman at the Republican Convention in Milwaukee.
Amid increasing calls by Democrats for President Biden to reconsider his run for the presidency over age and health concerns, there are a growing number of reports that pressure within the party could prompt a change on the ticket. Correspondent Clayton Neville has the latest.
The Democratic Party standing behind President Biden as its candidate in November during a DNC press conference at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
This November, we're going to make America great again, and we're going to do it by defeating Donald Trump at the ballot box in November.
The Biden campaign making its public stance, at least for now, quite clear.
The president is in this race.
Quentin Folks is President Biden's principal deputy campaign manager.
The president has said it several times. He's staying in this race. I talk to the president every single day in some form of Zoom or phone call. He's usually fact-checking me on a statistic that I got wrong.
When pressed by reporters, Folks said the campaign is working under no scenario where Biden is not on the ticket.
He is and will be the Democratic nominee.
What's potentially being talked about behind the scenes seemingly a bit different. Axios and the New York Times reporting that Democrats close to the Biden campaign believe the rising pressure of party congressional leaders could persuade the president to drop out of the race as soon as this weekend. Biden's debate performance sparked concern within the party about his mental competency at the age of 81, and this week a positive COVID test amplified those concerns. With the president now isolating at home in Delaware, Vice President Kamala Harris is on the campaign trail.
In recent days, they've been trying to portray themselves as the party of unity. But here's the thing. If you claim to stand for unity, you need to do more than just use the word.
Publicly, some Democrats are charging forward with confidence, but not all of them. Representative Adam Schiff now urging the president to step aside. Reportedly, Democratic leaders Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer have also done that privately. In a letter surfaced this week sent to the president by Congressman Jamie Raskin asking him to reconsider the bid for re-election. If that happens, it would create quite the stir ahead of the Democratic National Convention. Political experts say that party leaders and the president could essentially name a replacement nominee. I'm Clayton Neville.
When we return on America in the Morning, comic legend passes. We'll have his story after these messages. At the national map with weather, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton for America in the Morning.
To finish off the work week, the area with the best chance for impactful thunderstorms will be the northern and central high plains and the nation's center in general, where an arriving wave of energy in the atmosphere will be all the spark needed to pop up some storms this afternoon and evening that can turn severe. This will mean that impacts ranging from hail and localized strong wind gusts of perhaps 60 to 70 miles per hour, along with some flooding downpours, can occur from southern North Dakota and far eastern Wyoming southward through western Kansas and eastern Colorado. Another zone that will remain active both today and likely for the foreseeable future is the south and especially the southeast, where the combination of a stalled front and moist flow around both a developing storm over the Midwest and high pressure anchored over Bermuda will mean numerous thunderstorms, some rather heavy with intense downpours across the region. There may not be widespread severe weather as there was in the Carolinas on Thursday, but repeated storms will bring both drought relief and the risk for both flash flooding and travel disruptions, as some roads may become impassable for a time. Much quieter weather is in store today from the Great Lakes region into the Northeast, as a large area of high pressure controls the pattern for many into the start of the weekend, bringing lower humidity and downright comfortable conditions after days, and in some cases weeks, of the generally hot and humid weather that is not uncommon for July. However, uncommonly hot conditions are again expected in parts of the West, with relentless heat lasting into next week from the Southwest through interior sections of the Pacific Northwest, as some daily record highs will be challenged into the new week, leading to expanding drought conditions. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Don't forget, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. He became famous for his deadpan comedy and telephone monologues. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports comedic icon Bob Newhart has died at the age of 94.
Jerry Digney, Newhart's publicist, says the actor died in Los Angeles after a series of short illnesses. The accountant-turned-comedian gained fame with the Smash album and became one of the most popular TV stars of his time. Newhart was a Chicago psychologist in the Bob Newhart Show in the 70s.
The boatload of turkeys you sent us over here last November, they're still here, Walt. Yeah, they're walking all over London. See, that isn't a holiday over here, Walt. Just in America. Yeah. You got another winner for us, Walt, have you? Tobacco.
And a Vermont innkeeper on Newhart in the 80s. Both shows featured a low-key Newhart surrounded by eccentric characters. The second show had a twist ending in its final episode.
You won't believe the dream I just had.
What is it?
I was an innkeeper in this crazy little town in Vermont.
The whole series was revealed to have been a dream by the psychologist he played in the other show. Newhart continued appearing on television occasionally after his fourth sitcom ended. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A federal appeals court issued a ruling that blocks the Biden administration from continuing to implement a new version of its student loan debt relief plan that's designed to reduce monthly payments for borrowers. The case, brought by a group of Republican-led states, was seeking to entirely stop President Biden's student loan assistance program and stops the Department of Education from implementing additional parts to the SAVE program that were not already blocked by lower court rulings. This comes on the same day Biden announced another $1.2 billion in student loan forgiveness for public servants and first responders. Sell-off on Wall Street. Business news is next when America in the Morning continues after these messages. We're back. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after another tech sell-off and a plunge for the major averages. The Dow was down 500 points. It was back below 41,000. Lots of volatility.
There is more room for tech to go down at this point, especially if earnings don't meet investors' expectations.
Nuveen's Sarah Malik on CNBC. Netflix reported strong quarterly results after the closing bell last night, although its outlook for this current quarter was weaker and shares were falling in after-hours trading. It is the clear winner in streaming as people don't cancel or churn out of their Netflix subscriptions as much as the others.
They had 92 original seasons of programming for the quarter. You look at Disney Plus and it has mid-teens original new seasons.
Orbit Gaming's and Newsweek editor-at-large Tom Rogers on CNBC. And CNBC's Julia Boorstin says Netflix subscribers may see another price increase before Christmas.
Loop Capital predicting that Netflix will eliminate its basic ad-free tier in the U.S. as it pushes its ad-supported option, forecasting a price increase at some point this year, particularly an increase of the standard tier ahead of Netflix streaming Christmas Day NFL games.
Amazon Prime Day drove U.S. online sales to a record $14.2 billion during the period, up 11% from the same time last year. This is according to Adobe Analytics. Consumer electronics and back-to-school items were among the top categories. Amazon did not release specific numbers, but called its sale record-breaking. More people than expected applied for unemployment benefits last week, 243,000. That suggests a return to a more normal labor market.
And the fast food business is having a fast and furious summer.
Yeah, so far so good for most of the chains, especially the ones with those value menu deals. The question is, if you go into a chain restaurant to take advantage of a cheap meal deal, what's going to bring you back in later?
New data from Pacer AI found that McDonald's, Starbucks, and Chili's were among the names who saw a boost in foot traffic from limited time offers as value-hungry consumers flock to check out deals. But keeping those consumers coming back beyond those limited timeframes will be key, as this quarter has also marked some pushback against brands perceived to be holding back on portion sizes and raising prices, including McDonald's and Chipotle.
CNBC's Kate Rogers.
Thank you, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, e-cigarettes. The feds just aren't blowing smoke after these messages. This is America in the Morning. President Biden's son Hunter is asking for a dismissal of his gun and tax court cases, and as correspondent Jackie Quinn reports, his request is based on the ruling given in Donald Trump's classified documents case.
Lawyers for Hunter Biden are citing a Florida judge's ruling earlier this week that dismissed the classified documents case against former President Donald Trump. Both the president's son Hunter and former President Trump were prosecuted by special counsels appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland. Since the Florida judge in Trump's case said the special counsel was not legally appointed, that same rule should apply to Hunter Biden. He's facing tax charges in California and was found guilty of 3 felonies in connection with a firearms possession case in Delaware. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Federal health officials have okayed sales of the best-selling e-cigarette in the country. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
It's called Vuse Alto, but the FDA approval only applies to several tobacco-flavored versions of the reusable product. The government previously rejected manufacturer Reynolds American's application for its more popular menthol flavor, but the company is challenging that decision in court. The FDA determination indicates that smokers who switch completely to Vuse can reduce their exposure to deadly carcinogens and other chemicals found in traditional tobacco. I'm Shelley Adler.
America in the Morning for Friday, July 19th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour,
an emotional acceptance speech.
We will make America great again.
By Donald Trump. I'm Steve Futterman in Milwaukee.
Congress with plenty of questions. The Secret Service with limited answers. I'm Clayton Neville.
Democrats are making a renewed push for President Biden to reconsider his re-election bid. Sagar Magani, Washington.
A Nevada judge has been indicted on federal fraud charges. I'm Sue Aller.
Following an investigation, a Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy has been charged in the death of a black woman from Springfield. I'm Jennifer King.
The head of the NTSB says people underestimate marijuana's impact on drivers. I'm Shelley Adler.
Back after these messages. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton for America in the Morning.
In the south and especially the southeast, a generally stationary front will join forces with an enhanced flow of Gulf of Mexico moisture between a disturbance taking shape over the Midwest and high pressure located near Bermuda to produce widespread thunderstorms both today and into next week, with drenching downpours likely from time to time for many. While the risk for severe thunderstorms now becomes more localized as opposed to some of the widespread wind damage in the southeast on Thursday, these rounds of storms mean the threat for flash flooding and difficult travel, despite also providing some relief from the ongoing drought. Another zone facing the risk for organized thunderstorms today is the northern and central plains, as the disturbance fires up afternoon and evening thunderstorms that may become severe, bringing the risk for damaging wind gusts that can bring down trees and power lines, as well as some hail and even flash flooding from western parts of the Oklahoma Panhandle northward through eastern Colorado and western Kansas, extending as far to the north as southern North Dakota and even a sliver of far southeastern Montana. By contrast, extreme and at times record-challenging heat rolls on for a large portion of the western U.S., with the heat even intensifying further from Saturday into Monday for the Northwest, where highs can reach 10 to 20 degrees above historical averages from eastern Washington to western Montana and southward into northern Utah and interior northern California, with hot and dry conditions through the southwest leading to an expanding drought there as well. A dry but pleasant day is instead expected today from the Midwest and the Northeast across the Great Lakes as high pressure holds firm to end the week with more comfortable conditions under sunshine and lower humidity. In Salt Lake City, look for partly sunny skies today and a high reaching 98. For Charlotte, North Carolina, watch out for showers and a thunderstorm that can bring flooding with a high of 86. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Don't forget you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. With accolades from former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and star power from wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, Former President Donald Trump accepted his party's nomination and spoke to the crowd and the nation, the first time since last weekend's assassination attempt. Steve Futterman reports from Milwaukee with a recap of the final nights of the Republican National Convention.
Donald Trump was introduced by Ultimate Fighting Championship head Dana White. And one of the other speakers last night,
America is going to get back on track,
was Hulk Hogan.
America is going to be great again.
But this night was for Donald Trump. Early on, his tone was softer than usual as he talked about the assassination attempt last weekend.
And you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell.
Trump recounted the events, including the actual shooting.
I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard.
And several times he invoked the name of God.
In a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that.
He called for the nation to come together and used that call to call on Democrats to drop the remaining criminal charges against him.
If Democrats want to unify our country, they should drop these partisan witch hunts, which I have been going through for approximately 8 years.
As the more than 90-minute speech went on, the tone did pick up. Trump promised lower taxes, lower inflation, and of course he talked about illegal immigration.
The greatest invasion in history is taking place right here in our country.
He said he will stop illegal crossings at the southern border.
They are coming in from every corner of the earth, not just from South America, but from Africa, Asia. It is an invasion indeed. They're coming from prisons. They're coming from jails. They're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums.
At the very end, Trump used the line he has been using since he announced his candidacy in 2015.
And quite simply put, we will very quickly make America great again.
The end of what many consider one of the most unified GOP conventions ever. I'm Steve Futterman at the Republican Convention in Milwaukee.
The U.S. House Speaker is calling for President Biden to take action if the Secret Service director doesn't resign over fallout surrounding the assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania campaign rally. Correspondent Clayton Neville is following details.
Members of Congress are demanding answers as reports surfaced that the shooter in the assassination attempt against former President Trump was spotted by law enforcement on the rooftop where he fired from 20 minutes before the shooting. Plenty of questions also about how the 20-year-old got on the roof with a clear line of sight on the president in the first place.
We've got to get down to the bottom of it. We organized a call yesterday for all House members, Republican and Democrats. We had most of them on the call. We had the FBI Director Christopher Wray and we had Director Cheadle, Secret Service. They did not give us satisfactory answers to some very important questions. And some of it needs to be in a classified setting, I suppose. But
U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson spoke with Fox News and called on President Biden to fire Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle.
I said that she should resign. It's clear that she has no intention to do so. But the oversight here, the mistakes, the ineptitude, whatever it is, was inexcusable.
He described the director's response as ridiculous.
We almost lost the life of a former president, and I think there has to be accountability, and it begins at the top.
While information on the Secret Service response is still being held close to the vest, details are still limited on the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, and a potential motive. While investigators say he searched for images of Trump and President Biden ahead of the shooting, federal officials are debunking other narratives. New analysis reportedly shows that an online account that was believed to belong to Crooks, where he appeared to call the date of the attack his premiere, was actually a fake account. I'm Clayton Neville.
As President Joe Biden recovers from COVID at his Delaware home, there's a renewed push from members of his own party to get the president to forego his re-election bid, with a growing list that now includes Montana Senator Jon Tester, California Congressman Adam Schiff, and much of the House and Senate Democrat leadership. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports the expectation by fellow Democrats that Joe Biden will leave the presidential race seems to be growing by the hour.
I had a terrible night on the debate night. I was exhausted. I had been traveling around the world. I wasn't ready, and I performed terribly.
Democrats are making a renewed push for President Biden to reconsider his re-election bid.
People are now saying, well, that was only one thing, but he's 81 years old. What happens when he's 84 years old? What happens, when he's 85 years old?
The warnings are now coming from top allies like former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, whom AP sources say told the president his candidacy could stop Democrats from winning the House, and former President Obama, whom sources say has privately expressed his concerns to Democrats about his ex-vice president's run.
More and more, the center of gravity in the party is around this notion that we do need someone else to run for president. And most likely it would be the vice president, Kamala Harris.
Democratic strategist Nathan Daschle says the party simply cannot unite if the president stays in the race, and the longer he waits to pull out, the more political damage he'll do.
I think there would be genuine excitement and motivation on behalf of the vice president. You know, politics is as much about momentum as it is about poll numbers. And the Democrats have been in such a dark, deep hole for a while that just getting back to normal will feel like we're flying.
The president, though, insists it's not too late to recover politically, telling Univision many people don't even focus on the election until September.
Everything so far between Trump and me has been basically even.
And argues he remains the best choice to beat Trump again. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
When we return on America in the Morning, Nevada judge on the wrong side of the law after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. A former Las Vegas councilwoman who's now a Nevada judge finds herself on the wrong side of justice, accused of swiping money for a fallen police officer to use for her own needs. Sue Aller has the story.
She's on the other side of the bench. Michelle Fiore, a current Nevada judge and a former Las Vegas councilwoman and assembly member, is facing legal troubles of her own. Prosecutors say she pocketed over $70,000 in donations from an alleged charity fraud scheme. The money was intended to honor fallen officers. The U.S. Justice Department has charged Fiore with 4 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Authorities say she told donors that 100% of the money she collected were to be used to build a statue honoring Las Vegas police officers killed in the line of duty. But prosecutors allege that she used the funds for personal use, including paying for her daughter's wedding. If convicted, Fiore could face up to 20 years in prison on each felony count. I'm Sue Aller.
A former sheriff's deputy in Illinois faces a murder charge for the police shooting of a woman who called 911. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Sonia Massey was shot as deputies were responding to her 911 call early on July 6th. The shooting raised protests in the community.
Sonia was really one of the nicest, most peaceful people that you could ever know.
WICS spoke with her uncle, Tommy Cunningham.
She was a beautiful young lady.
The former deputy, Sean Grayson, has been fired from his job and indicted on charges of first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. Prosecutors say a review of body camera video did not support the use of deadly force. Attorney Ben Crump, representing Massey's family, says the 36-year-old woman called police about a suspected intruder in her home and was unarmed when she was shot in the face. In a statement, Governor J.B. Pritzker expressed condolences for the family and said he was enraged that another innocent black woman had had her life taken from her at the hands of a police officer. I'm Jennifer King.
An investigation into a fatal crash on an Oklahoma highway by the National Transportation Safety Board has led to a serious warning about driving while using marijuana. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
The accident that killed 6 high school girls in Oklahoma took place 2 years ago. And after an investigation, the head of the National Transportation Safety Board is urging parents to warn teenagers about the risk of driving after using pot. Chairwoman Jennifer Hominy made the appeal to parents as her agency released the final report on the March 22 collision between a tiny Chevy Spark hatchback and a gravel-hauling semi. The board determined that the crash was caused by the 16-year-old driver slowing for an intersection, then accelerating through a stop sign because she was likely impaired by recent marijuana use. She was also likely distracted by having 5 teen passengers in her car. I'm Shelley Adler.
An American reporter who continues to be held in a Russian prison will soon get a new hearing. Correspondent Karen Shamas reports on detained U.S. journalist Evan Gershkovich and what's going on behind the scenes to try and get him released.
A U.S. journalist has appeared at a second trial in Russia for espionage charges, while talks of a prisoner exchange between Russia and the U.S. go on behind the scenes. Evan Gershkovich is accused of gathering information for the U.S. while on a reporting trip in Yekaterinburg, where he was arrested. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Moscow and Washington's intelligence services are discussing an exchange involving Gershkovich, according to Russian state news agency TASS. Russia has previously signaled the possibility of a swap involving Gershkovich, but it says a verdict, which could take months, would have to come first. Even after a verdict, any release could still take months or years. I'm Karen Shamas.
OpenAI is at it again with a new, cheaper, light version of their popular AI software, ChatGPT 4o. Here's tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
OpenAI's parent company ChatGPT said on Thursday they're launching GPT-4o Mini, a cost-effective small AI model designed to make AI more affordable and less power-hungry. OpenAI is the leader in artificial intelligence applications and has been developing a smaller model while Meta and Google both work on a bigger market share. The GPT-4o Mini is 60% cheaper than GPT 3.5 and currently outperforms GPT-4 models on a preference score of 82%. Comparatively, Anthropic's Claude is at 73.8% and Google's Gemini is at 77.9%. In related AI news, electronic warfare systems that are signal jamming drones are about to get an AI upgrade. A defense tech accelerator set up by the Ukrainian government says they are working with concepts that in the near future will focus on pilotless AIs for drones that are impervious to signal jamming and increase their effectiveness by 80%. I'm Chuck Palm.
America in the Morning continues with Robert Workman and Friday Sports.
Baseball returns for the stretch run today after the All-Star break. 10 weeks to decide who makes the playoffs. 11 days to fine-tune those rosters before the trade deadline, July 30th. The 2025 schedule was released yesterday with a couple of notables. First, the season will open in Japan with the Cubs and the Dodgers playing on March 18th and 19th. Opening day in North America is March 27th. That's the earliest ever. There will be a rivalry weekend in May with the geographical matchups we've seen since the start of interleague play, plus a few from within the same league, like the Pirates and Phillies and the Astros and Rangers. Another change, teams will get 3 game sets home and away with their interleague rivals. At golf's Open Championship at Royal Troon in Scotland, Daniel Brown, a qualifier from England, birdied 2 of the last 3 holes to finish in the lead at 6 under after the first round, 1 shot ahead of 2019 Open champ Shane Lowry. Second round play is underway this morning. And the Jazz and the Clippers have agreed on a sign and trade deal for Russell Westbrook, with Utah prepared to buy out the veteran guard, who will then join the Denver Nuggets. LA gets guard Chris Dunn, and there are second-round draft picks involved. That's Friday Sports.
Tribute to Lou Dobbs when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Celebrity deaths this week include NFL wide receiver Jacoby Jones, TV's Shannon Doherty, and comedian Bob Newhart. And now comes word of a pioneer of cable news and a longtime and sometimes controversial conservative pundit. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on the passing of television host Lou Dobbs.
Lou Dobbs, the conservative political pundit and TV host who was a nightly presence on Fox Business Network for more than a decade, has died. He hosted Lou Dobbs Tonight on Fox Business from 2011 to 2021, following 2 separate stints at CNN.
The idea of building this show and taking it to the level that we all want to here is a job that is going to take all of my energy and all of my time.
Once the most visible television business journalist with his show Moneyline, Dobbs made CNN management uneasy as he grew more opinionated and drew angry protests from Latinos for his emphasis on curbing illegal immigration. In a June 2006 debate, Dobbs said Mexico's failures in stopping illegal drugs offers little confidence that it can deal with migration issues.
Heroin, cocaine, and marijuana. It is the principal geographical source of these drugs into this country.
His death was announced in a post on his official X account, which called him a fighter till the very end. He was 78. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Another famous film of the 1990s is spinning its way into theaters this weekend. Kevin Carr has a sneak peek at Twisters.
All right, here we go. Twisters isn't a direct sequel to the 1996 original, but rather it follows 2 new groups of rival storm chasers studying tornadoes.
The once-in-a-generation tornado outbreak continues across Oklahoma.
We've never seen tornadoes like this before.
With more and more powerful weather events happening, they try to save lives. Along the way, they also learn about each other and their secret motivations.
You know, our crew is not like your crew. We don't need PhDs and fancy tech. Sometimes the old ways are better than the new.
Well, you can always trust a guy who puts his face on a t-shirt.
From a formulistic standpoint, Twisters is a perfect summer popcorn movie. It's got a hot young cast, great special effects, loads of spectacle, and a perfectly fine, if not utterly ludicrous, storyline.
Who are they?
It's Tyler Owens. Calls himself a tornado wrangler.
If you feel it!
But it's also a complete disaster when it comes to real science, logic, and writing. I mean, it literally borrows a major plot point from Sharknado, for crying out loud.
Are those fireworks?
Yes, ma'am.
In this sense, Twisters is simultaneously just as good and just as bad as its 90s counterpart.
We got twins! Twins!
It makes for a fun summer movie, but it's also a forgettable blip on the Doppler radar.
We never had a chance.
You want one?
Twisters gets 3 anti-M's out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
America in the Morning for Friday, July 19th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.